Have you been to Gilmer? To that track in Gilmer, they said they got a real big one in Gilmer, four-wheel drive. I ain't been either. We might go there Labor Day weekend. Somebody, my plumber, his cousin went, or nephew or something. He said, yeah, there's a lot of. They got a lot of extreme riders there. You know, if you want, they got all kinds, but it's very personal.
Have you gone up to the just north of mine, up to the freeway?
On the river, I stopped at one time when it was on bikes.
It's live?
Yeah.
All right, guys, it says we're live.
Ready. Time to go to work.
Mark, you up?
There we go now.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. It is now 1:29. We're here for the regular session, or for a special session of Hunt County Commissioners Court. Sorry for the delay. If you're watching us online, we've had technical difficulties on getting our computer system up and going. If you have not missed anything, we've not been in any discussions up to this time. At this time, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We have Commissioner Hutchins, Strait, Martin, and Harrison present. I'm Judge Stovall presiding over the meeting. This time we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioners Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff. They may be placed on future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Daniel, we got anything online? Being nothing, no comments at this time, we'll move on to old business. Action item number 1, Hunt County Health Department environmental fee schedule. You should have those proposed fee schedules in your packet. I went over these with Richard Hill, the head of the health department. We got both the health side with the food services fees and the septic permits, and then we also have the clinic side fees that we're proposing to increase our fees some to be more in line with the surrounding areas. If you got any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Looks like we were a little behind on quite a few of them, actually.
Yeah, we are. We're a little behind in trying to get salaries up in all our departments. These fees need to be as current as possible, in my view.
I'll make a motion to approve the health and environmental fee schedules.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. New business. Approval of budget amendments.
Make a motion to approve budget amendments.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of payroll and personnel.
Make a motion to approve payroll and personnel.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 1, a presentation for DFPS Title 4-E funding. Calvin, you want to brief us on this, please, sir?
Is that mic on?
Sounded like it.
Does it sound like you can hear me now?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Good afternoon, members of the court. Judge Stovall, I passed out to all the members just a minute ago a few documents that were provided to aid you in my presentation. I'm here before the court today to ask for your approval for the county to enter into an agreement binding contract with Justice Benefits Incorporated. And I'll discuss more about what their role is, but this is an opportunity for the county to collect reimbursement from the federal government. There's no cost to the taxpayers. There's absolutely no cost to the county. Roughly 22 other counties have taken advantage of this reimbursement program that's provided through this company called Justice Benefits Incorporated. In a minute, I'll talk to you about the specific reimbursements we can kind of expect to see starting next year. But before I do that, I want to kind of go over the process that got us to where we're at today. The county provides on an annual basis a lot of money to Child Protective Services, either through contracts directly with Department of Family Protective Services or through the legal cost incurred through the courthouse. The biggest significant cost that on the courthouse side is the ad litem fees that are paid to all the attorneys that do CPS related work. So
Can you tell us what the ad litem is for those that don't know?
Judge. So every time that there is a party in front of the court and there's a somebody that's not represented, so an example would be a minor child involved in a CPS removal proceeding, the court would be obligated to appoint that child an attorney ad litem to represent that child throughout the proceedings. Not only the child would get appointed an attorney ad litem, but a lot of times the parents also get appointed ad litems if they don't own their own, they can't afford their own attorneys on a termination proceeding as well. So those are two examples that always are requiring CPS litigation in the courtrooms. Judge Bench, by the way, was going to be here today to aid me in the presentation, but he's tied up in CPS court. And he said his backlog has gotten worse over the last couple of years with CPS cases. And that's what he's doing all day is CPS cases. So for the last 12 months, we've had $500,000 of taxpayer money spent on CPS ad litem fees. Okay? That's his side of it, him and Judge Aiken. They at the district courts are the ones that supervise the CPS litigation. The other direct court expense as far as CPS is related is my department, because the county taxpayers fund 2 full-time CPS attorney positions that cost the county $169,000. There are also benefits that go along with being a CPS attorney. The county obligation for that is about $70,000. There's manual training that my attorneys must get to keep their accreditation as professional attorneys, and also to be part of the family bar and to practice CPS. So there's training cost and sometimes there's travel cost. An example of those costs for the last year, including the $169,000 for the 2 CPS attorneys, was $252,000. All right, so you add that cost plus the $500,000 that the 2 district courts are paying on CPS attorneys. That's $752,000 that comes out of the general fund, I assume, to pay out of taxpayers to pay for CPS related expenses. All right, so because of that, Justice Benefits approached Judge Bench and one of my CPS attorneys a few years ago to explain this reimbursement program that Title IV offers, specifically Title IV-E. That is for child welfare services that states provide. And so Texas is no different. We run our child welfare services through the Department of Family Protective Services, and we're entitled to claim reimbursement for certain services that can be directly attributed to CPS related expenses. The key criteria to get reimbursement is first you've got to come up with what's called an eligible population rate, because that's going to be the factor that's used to determine what the federal matching rate is going to be as far as the reimbursement money we get. And that figure is determined by taking the total number of children in the county and you divide it by the number of CPS clients currently in foster care. And that gives, so it's going to be different for every county in the state to determine what that eligible population rate is. But that's the number that's used to multiply against these expenses I just gave you. So for example, one of the things that we have to do on a yearly basis, if we continue and the commissioners, the court signs the contracts today, is we've got to provide a budget every year showing this company, Justice Benefits, what we incurred in direct expenses, CPS related. They will turn around and submit the paperwork, the claims for reimbursement to DFPS, who will then ask the federal government to reimburse. And then based upon the money that comes back, we will get a percentage of that based upon that eligible population rate. And then under the terms of the agreement with this company, Justice Benefits, which was presented to this court last summer, it's a 2-year contract with the 2 periods of renewal subject to the court's approval for 2 more additional year terms. So a total of 6 years. We're into year 2 of that contract. They would get 22%. That's the deal that they get. That's their cutout of the money. But here's what we could expect to see based upon the figures that Judge Aiken and Judge Bench and myself provided to this company from last year's CPS expenses. Of the $252,000 incurred out of my office for the attorneys that are full-time CPS attorneys, the county could expect to see roughly $33,100 back from the federal government. That's $33,000 that we would never get otherwise. Same for the CPS ad litem expenses, $500,000, we could expect to see returned $65,552. I repeat, that's $65,000 we would never get back otherwise. There's no cost to the taxpayers to approve these contracts. Basically, what's required of the court is to basically, on a yearly basis, we have to do what's called an annual Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act certification. All counties that ask for federal fund reimbursement have to comply with the certification requirement. We also have to provide a lobby certification statement, and then we have to provide a signature authority designation, so one person can be the spokesperson for the county. To get to this point, it's been a process. It started with Judge Stovall, I, Judge Bench, maybe a few others on a conference call last spring. It then moved into allowing that company to make a presentation to this court, and I wasn't here for that, but I understand the court obviously entertained that motion and agreed to sign the 2-year agreement because we're here today. And then the biggest challenge has been all the paperwork that DFPS wants before they will submit this reimbursement stuff to the federal government. And so Daniel Ray's office has participated in gathering some of the paperwork that's required to send back to DFPS, the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, my office. And with all of that information, I'm here to present to you for your approval 5 different forms. 2 of these forms I don't believe have to be updated on an annual basis. One of them is a risk analysis questionnaire. It basically required the auditor's office to go through every single contract the county's ever entered into. And that's been done, and provide a copy of, I guess, the most recent audit. We've then had to do an internal control structure questionnaire that had to be answered by 3 different departments in the county: the treasurer's office, the auditor's office, my office. And if assuming that the court is okay with the work that's been done, I've got a signature page for both those documents for the county judge to sign on behalf of the court. And then I've already mentioned the annual Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act certification that has to be signed, and the lobbying form. Those are the forms that I bring to the court today for approval. I'm also here to answer any questions specifically you have about the reimbursement process, how we get paid, when Justice Benefits gets paid, who Justice Benefits is. I gave a handout to everybody on the court if you have more questions. I've already said that they represent roughly 20 other counties in helping them get Title IV-E reimbursement to the taxpayers. So that's what I'm here before the court is. Again, it doesn't cost the county a dime, and it's roughly, in my math, almost $100,000 we get back for the federal government. So I highly would recommend that we approve it. I don't believe, I will say this, somebody's asked me if I think this is going to cause a conflict with any other existing legal contracts, such as the capital murder defense, the contract that counties entered into for capital murder representation. I don't see how that would have any overlap or conflict with you entering into a contract with this company to get CPS-related legal expenses reimbursed to the county.
Good enough. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I think that was the only question I've been asked offline. So, but I'm here to answer any questions you'll have today on this.
Thank you, Calvin. Any questions? Well, we appreciate your efforts. I know you worked hard on this, and it just has nothing to do with the contracts, but do you have any idea how many CPS cases come to before our courts that there is some mental illness involved in?
I wouldn't have even a ballpark idea to give you an answer to that question, Judge, had I not had my staff meeting on Friday afternoon and my CPS attorneys happened to be there, and mental health came up in our staff meeting, and her name is Ms. Peterson, but Ms. Peterson said that yes, mental health comes up a lot in their CPS filed cases, that they've actually got services they can provide, court-ordered services through the district courts for people such as mainly it's the parents, but sometimes it's the children as well that need to get mental health treatment. And so we're trying to work on a better way to expand how CPS may be able to provide some of the services they can do for mental health in the community outside of just being a CPS filed case.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Not, I entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Calvin.
Thanks, Calvin.
Action item number 2, the request for office lease for veteran services. Commissioners, Ted Oates has asked me, I guess, ever since I've been here, and I think John Horn before me, to try to get them more room that they're currently housed in our jail, and basically have a room and a closet, which 2 people work out of. I have been getting complaints, as well as maybe some of y'all have had, from the public saying that we're not, our veteran services not providing immediate assistance and not quick in returning calls and all. And well, I asked Commissioner Harrison, to look at it, because he's heavily concerned with veteran services, being a veteran himself. And I'll let Steve, if you want to address that, or you want me to continue on, or.
Well, I think we kind of hit on it last time when we talked about the veteran services, some of the issues in there, and plus, they see roughly 20 veterans a week. And, you always think of just the veterans, but also they take care of the family of the veterans as well. And Ted Oates is the only one that's able to handle that right now. So he's not only talking to people and seeing them in his office, he's going to nursing homes, he's making house visits and all that. Part of the issue also is veterans wanting to come to the sheriff's department or the jail to actually be seen or talk to somebody. They're not necessarily always comfortable with that. And that's kind of what led us into looking at another location for the veteran services.
Okay, so I reached out, I went for a drive last Sunday afternoon, I think it was, and swung through some areas where I knew there might be office availability, and I found some availability. I don't even know what it's called. We used to call them the Hackney buildings, out behind the Dairy Queen and Tony's Italian Kitchen and all. Daryl Hitchman now owns it through Bud Properties, is title of the property, who just happens to be the grandfather of Aubrey in our auditor's department, but has nothing to do with this. But he had some lease space available. And so Ted and Steve and I went out and looked at it last week, and there was 3 spaces we looked at, and Ted liked the first one. It was 1,200 square feet. It's got handicap parking right outside. It's pretty level. Even if you weren't in handicap, it'd be easy for handicapped veterans, whatever, to get back and forth into the office. It's open, pretty open right now, but the landlord said he would make offices, whatever we needed inside, with no cost to us. Lease will be $1,200 a month, so $14,400, I think, a year is what that math is. And there's 2 other service charges for trash, and I'm not sure I can't remember what the other one was. He's supposed to send me something. I didn't get it, but it was less than $100 for both of them. I think trash was like $42 a month, and there's another community service that area-wide, common area type use that he collects a fee for. So, I think, and to expand a little, Ted had asked in his budget request to get an additional employee. The lady that currently works there, Sandy, 70 something, correct? Yeah, she's in her 70s, been working there a long time. She's a veteran's widow, I believe. And anyway, she's not necessarily won't quit, or hadn't even brought up quitting, to my knowledge, but they're just overworked. So, and we can talk about it more, but I'm inclined to give them another position especially if we approve this office lease today. I think, personally, I think we owe it to our veterans to do a better job.
I
So,
believe that would be a good location. I want to ask this, though. We had them up there in the Paul Matthews building at one time. Why would they move down to the jail?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Back before our time.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You were here, I don't know. What are you asking us for?
Basically, I'm being sincere. All of a sudden, they were moved down to the jail, and I thought that was a pretty bad place anyway. To be
I don't know.
quite honest with you.
I know, like the judge said, he's gotten calls. I have. I know Mark has as well. You know, it's unfortunately with one individual trying to take care of all the veterans and again the families of veterans here in the county. One person can't keep up, and our veterans are not getting the complete attention and service that they deserve. Part of it is because of one individual having to do it all. And you know, again, I think location has a lot to do with it as well. You know, I think the building that we looked at is probably 3 times bigger than the whole office that the Veteran Service is in now. Plus, they're having to share, I guess, the receptionist area at the sheriff's department and in the jail between the receptionist at the jail and the veterans having to share that one office when they first walk in. So, you know, like the judge says, we've got to do better for our veterans, and I think this is a good start for them.
Is this where the Texas Go connection is in those buildings right there?
Yes,
Is that good? That is a very good place, to be honest with you.
this one actually would back up to probably the quick lube place that's next to Tony's Italian Kitchen. Its back door would walk out into that parking lot, I believe. Now, you know, what I'd like to do today is get the lease approved, and so we can get started by getting with Ted and the landlord and start getting the renovations made, and then I'll come back at the next regular meeting probably with a budget for it to see what it's gonna take. And as long as we got the authority to spend the money, that's what I'm looking for today, to sign the lease and enter into it. And then once I get all the exact numbers together and, you know, and I want to talk to Ted or Steve, and I talk to Ted some more, whether or not this additional person, well, first of all, I want to know how soon the landlord will have it ready for us, because he couldn't tell us because we couldn't tell him what we wanted. So, and I agree with that. So we need to get back to him as soon as we can sign this lease and find out a time frame. And if he can get it done in a time frame before our new budget starts, we might want to go ahead and think about adding that person. If we're going to add that person, we might want to try to do it sooner than later and not do it, go ahead and do it in this year's budget and just move some money over and take care of it and have it ready. And then we'll budget into next year's budget also. But by the time frame, it might not be worthwhile. So I need to get a little more information before I have a recommendation.
Well, we also, Brandon went down there Friday as well with Ted and met the landlord to look at everything for the IT, the phone and stuff like that as well.
So we're going to have some expenses there too. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to get internets and phones and stuff like that set up there as well.
So it's a little premature. I just don't want us to end up like the other building, and I want to get this lease signed. I want to get it before somebody else gets it.
What about electric bills and stuff like that? Would we have to be paying that? Electric, or are they furnishing?
I don't know that. I assume we're paying it.
Yeah.
I don't know any landlord that pays it when they're separate buildings like that. I'm 99% sure we'll be paying it. I'll get all the answers to it. If we can just get me where I can sign it and let's move forward. And then next regular session, we'll have budget items ready and know all those costs. But you know, the electric bill, we're paying something for electricity where they're at now anyway on some proportionate shares. So it'll be more probably what we're paying, but it's still not going to go up that much. I'm thinking 20 grand a year is going to kill it for all expenses, I would think, but be a wild guess, but I think that's a pretty good guess.
Well, I'll make a motion to authorize you to go into an agreement for the lease for the Veterans Services Office.
I second that motion.
Got a motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank y'all. Action item number 3. To discuss the meeting of the regular session of Commissioners Court from June 14th, 22 to June 13th, 2022. Last week I asked if we could do that to accommodate some time that I'd like to be out of town, and Commissioner Harrison's going to be out of town. So if we can move it from that Tuesday to Monday, it would be beneficial for some of my travel arrangements. And Daniel, I think we have to make a motion to cancel the 14th. and do a special session. So I make a motion to cancel the June 14th, 2022 and reschedule for June 13th, 2022
10 o'clock.
at 10 o'clock on both of them. Yes, sir.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Any other business for the court? Anybody online? Not.
Hold on, let me check my junk mail.
Uh-oh. Okay. Not, I entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go in executive session.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're going into executive session at 1:54. All right. Is there coffee over there? Here we go.
I'll take it. We are live.
We're live? Okay. It's 2:55, we're back in regular session. Is there any other business before the court today? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We're adjourned at 2:55 PM.
To go off, Jess.
Still up or down?
There he went.